Okay. How are you doing today?
Going good. How are you?
Good. Um, okay, so we are interviewing Rob. How do you say your full name, actually? Go ahead and do.
Rob, Zeke.
Zeke.
Either
Okay.
one. I mean, one's my middle name, one's my first name, so it doesn't
I
matter.
prefer Zeke. We're just going to call you Zeke today.
All right.
um, all right. So, what got you into typology, first of all?
Well, I was actually just on Facebook one day and saw some random person had taken an MBTI test, and shockingly, I'd never heard of it. So clicked on it, took the test, thought it was interesting, kind of put it on the back burner for a while, and then saw some more things of an article about it. I think it was why the MBTI is bullshit. So then I was like, maybe I should really check this out. And then I went back to it and kind of got into the community. And from there on out, I just got deeper and deeper into typology, got into the Enneagram, got into Socionics, got into the Big Five, all that. Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why you thought it was interesting was because someone immediately said that it was bullshit. So that triggered your interest.
Yes. I was like, well, we got to figure out if this is bullshit.
Okay. All right. So what did you find?
Well, I found that it's likely not bullshit completely anyway, um, because I did resonate with a couple of the MBTI types actually, and then further started to study cognition, and then got more into socionics and learned about the IMEs, and I was like, and I could see it reflected in the world, so I'm like, I don't think it's really bullshit. I think maybe it's overdone in some of the systems, um, but I can definitely see how this is applicable to society and how people interact with one another.
So you think that so you can see socionics in the way people interact. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So what things have you seen, if you can think of anything?
Hmm. I think the biggest thing for me, what I notice in people almost immediately is um, the quadras and the difference between, um, I guess, alpha and gamma and beta and delta, so those two together. So how, I guess it would be democratic versus aristocratic or whatever. Um, that's always the most apparent thing to me is when somebody is very idealist. You can just see that in somebody's personality and how they interact with you, that they're always shooting for this like milestone. And that one I think is a good example of people's differences and how they communicate. Another thing I've noticed is um, the difference between SE and NE is also very apparent to me. Um, uh, just how I could tell that people were doing things similar to me, and then there was people that were seeing the world totally different than me, and were constantly wanting like new information and new possibilities and ideas, and they weren't really here, like in the present moment. So I attributed that to SE versus NE. I'm not sure if that's truly the case, but
Yeah, I think it's related somewhat.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so basically just sensing, being present, and not being present, the difference between those two types of
right.
people. Sure, that's interesting. Like, what about interaction? Did you get any kind of insight into the way different people interact together?
Yeah, I mean it's been a long journey. It's I've been doing this for a couple years now. And especially going between the two systems, I've kind of had to really reverse my thinking from from before. Um, but with interaction, I think duality is a huge one, an activation pair. Seeing that in the world and thinking these people that seem so different than me, uh, people that seem so different than me, but yeah, some of them are different than me. But once I start to talk to them, it was very apparent that wow, these people do think like me. They're just kind of focusing on something different. So some of that's duality, and then of course the conflictor relation was also apparent.
Okay, so conflicted relations.
Well, my self-typing is ESI, but I'm also open to SEE. I'm really open to whatever people have to tell me. But conflicted relations, I think, as those people that I was scared of when I was trying to understand my dual, or trying to stay away from my dual, because I knew there were people that were very different than me. So, they look alike. Like your dual and your conflictor, they seem similar. So
this is true.
yeah, so I always just was like, screw them all. I'm just gonna, stay away from them.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay, thank you. Just give me 1 second.
No, that's fine.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. We had a little interruption. Okay, so Zeke, what do you do all day?
I am actually a translator, so I do a lot of listening and typing and mental work. It's a lot of sitting down, and it sucks because I don't like to be immobile for many hours a day. But besides work life, I do a lot of running. I'm always in the gym. I love to work out. I really enjoy reading, and I enjoy scientific topics that I don't know about that I can explore. And yeah, my interests are really random. Like, I'll get into something and I'll stick with it for like 3 months, and I'll learn completely everything about it, kind of until I conquer it, and then move on to another.
So it becomes boring to you after you understand it, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is there anything about your job that you do like?
Um,
Because I think you touched on something there that you said you don't like, which is you don't like sitting in one spot for a long time.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. What I do like is that it's very free, as in I can come in as long as I get my job done, do my work. I can pretty much make whatever schedule I want for myself, which is really awesome, and that's one of the big things that I liked about my job.
Okay. You like to be able to make your own schedule. How does that work for you? Can you go into how you go about doing that?
Essentially, I just go over the tasks that I need done. I decide what I have to do in my personal life, what I have to get done, where I have to go, all the crap I have to do around the house, and then I kind of base my schedule of work on that. So I guess what I need to get done around the house takes precedence over work, which is kind of shitty, but they let me have that freedom, so that's why.
As long as you're getting it done, then I don't see anything wrong with it. Okay, so you actively prioritize your time, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Well, and then you're saying you prioritize work second.
Yeah, I really do. I do, but it's just
why?
It's something about sitting down and not being able to move around in my day just sucks.
Okay, so it just has to do with like, okay, I have to do this, but I don't want to do this now. I'm going to wait till I really have to do it.
Right.
Okay. Understandable. So you do like that you have a flexible schedule.
Yeah.
Would you say you're good at accomplishing the tasks that you need to do?
Yeah. If I want to get something done, it's going to get done. There's no, because I usually put so much energy into that one thing, that it's going to get done. It never doesn't get done. So.
Okay. So you're good at getting things done. That's good. All right. So How are you with conflict?
This is a mixed bag. I don't mind having conflict. I actually enjoy it, especially if the other person is willing to go there. And I don't know. I guess I could go
What do you
deeper
mean?
with that.
What do you mean by willing to go there? And what what is it you enjoy about it?
So willing to go there, it's like, are people ready? Can they go to a deeper level? Can they really take an issue and explain it to its core and why it's meaningful to them and be vulnerable in the situation? And we can really learn something from having conflict with one another. And that's something I've always valued. And people take that as really aggressive because I'm okay expressing anger at people. It's not that I don't like you. It's that I am passionate about this issue and I want you to be as passionate as I am about this issue so that we can learn something about it or expand or understand each other, especially.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the way that you approach conflict is that you use it to better the parties involved, basically.
Absolutely.
Sorry, my mom almost killed herself. So, all right. So, okay, but you use conflict as a tool. You're not just like flailing your arms around and going crazy at people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think people understand that because, well, some people don't, obviously, but some people will, if they've looked at any of my arguments anywhere on the internet or even in real life, is that I usually am not going to hold it against somebody after we've had a huge blowout. I move towards reconciliation, or my goal is not to distance that person. It's actually to become closer to that person by knowing them better.
So what do you do if you want a distance? You definitely don't engage in conflict with them.
No, absolutely not. If I want to distance myself with somebody, they're just not even on the radar.
Okay. You find that easy to do?
Yes.
Simple answer. Okay. All right. So I think you answered that one pretty well. Okay. So what do you do in your free time? Like, say you don't have anything to do. Like, say you looked at your list of stuff to do and it's like, okay, well, I've already cleaned this and I have to do my work later and I have free time now. What do you do?
I'm a pretty big gamer. I don't do it as much since I have a sit-down job, but I love competition, and gaming is an easy way to be competitive in something without having, to buy too much equipment and go do like sports type things. Even though I do love sports, I like to play tennis in my spare time, and
Yeah.
But yeah, a big thing would be gaming, and with friends too. I love to invite people over and just have like a big game night and make it all competitive. And
Gotcha. All right. So you do actively socialize.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have like a lot of friends? Do you have like just a few close friends? How do you go about friendship?
I have a lot of acquaintances, especially over the years. I do try to keep in contact with people every now and then. I'll ask them how they're doing or how their life is. But close friends, I personally wouldn't consider that I have too many. Maybe 5 or 6.
What does it mean to you that somebody is a close friend?
It usually means that they've stuck around, especially through my personality, which is usually very, I don't know. I go deep with people, as in I want to know everything about you, and then I'll tell you everything about me. And the people that have stuck around through that are definitely close friends, which is 5 or 6 people.
Okay, so you don't see that as a chore. You just see that as something that's natural for people to do with each other?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's how you prefer your deeper friendships to go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then you also have a bunch of acquaintances that you like to just hang out with and play games with and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay, so about how many acquaintances do you say, like, how comfortable are you being around people that are just acquaintances?
Well, like the problem, like I don't have the problem. I can easily open up to anybody. It's just, are they going to do that with me? And if they don't, then I keep it at that level, which is usually involves, I don't know, I just don't share too much deep personal information because I can tell they're either not comfortable with it or we haven't gone there yet.
But say you don't go there with somebody, and you can you can basically hang out with them at a more distant level without
Mhm.
without it bugging you too much.
Yeah, but see, I'm naturally inclined
Yeah.
to dig. Yeah.
Yeah. Got you. So like, okay, so these people that are acquaintances that you just like to hang out with that you wouldn't consider close friends, or is it just the close friends that you like hanging out with for longer periods of time?
Yeah, I would say the close friends I enjoy hanging out with much more. Yeah, the acquaintances are fine. It's something to do if they want to come over, if they, if they want to keep their distance, that's their choice. But I do prefer, the closer friends coming over.
I gotcha. Seems pretty normal. um, I kind of accidentally clicked off the questionnaire. But I have this other one here. Uh, I think we've already kind of gotten to a lot of this stuff. Let's see. Okay, so how are you with romantic relationships?
Hmm.
If
Man,
it's
that's
too,
because I
if
mean
it's
they're
something
so
you, sorry,
I mean my relationships have been so different, so it's hard to really connect a common theme.
that
Um,
makes sense to me.
see, I try to be the same person. Does that make sense in all relationships? But even if you try to do that, there's always going to be like things that are just not in your control, and that different people are going to bring different things out of you. So it's, even if I do try to remain very consistent of who I am and what I'm about, depending on the relationship, uh, it changes. Especially if you're a compromising person, which I try to be. Um, you're gonna be different in different relationships.
True. So, let's see. Hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how do you like to learn?
I am a visual learner, and I do probably learn best by application and being able to see what's happening. Like, I'm learning this, but I need to see the model. I need to see how everything's interacting with one another and why. So if someone just gives me a theory and they're like, whatever, even like any type of math theory or something related to that, it's like I have to see where the numbers are going and the system behind it, or else I am just lost.
Okay. Uh, how do you like to teach?
Um, Teaching, I would say, is more hands-on. I like to make the activities fun. I actually did a teaching stint when I lived in Costa Rica for about 6 months, but um,
Costa Rica, that's cool. Did you like it?
yeah, it was great. It was a crazy experience. Um, but yeah, I like hands-on, and I like to show whoever I'm teaching how it works and give them tons of examples so that they really have like a full understanding of whatever I'm trying to teach them.
Okay, so basically you just try to get an understanding of what, like, how well they understand it, and then you just go from there.
And then I move on. Exactly.
Okay. What did you teach?
I taught English to Spanish children.
Ah, cool. Um, did you like that job?
Yeah, it was difficult because at the time I didn't know much Spanish. So I was learning as the kids were learning, which was it was great you know in hindsight because of how much I learned off of kids. But Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Um, it was probably one of the most new experiences in my life and difficult being in another country. Um, but
What
yeah,
was difficult about that?
communication. Um,
Yeah.
I just wanted to explain myself so bad, and sometimes I couldn't. You know, there was just too much of a barrier. Um, so that was hard. That was really hard for me. Kind of depressing in a way, but that just made me want to learn Spanish even more.
Yeah. So, what got you into that situation? What transpired to that made you end up in Costa
Well,
Rica teaching children English?
well, really, I was okay. So I graduated high school, um, and I kind of had like an existential breakdown, meltdown, crisis, whatever. Um, and I just literally one day I was like, I'm moving. I'm leaving. I'm leaving the country. I'm gonna do something different. Um, so I saved. I had like a shitty like restaurant job, and I saved like a couple $1,000, and then I got my passport, found like this cheap hotel in Costa Rica, like did as much as I could to set up going there, and then I just left. And I didn't know how long I was going to stay. Nothing. Didn't know where I was going to how I was going to make money, if I could make money, if I was going to go to school there. I
You didn't
literally
even know
just
if you
took
were gonna
off.
like show up there and die.
I, I didn't know anything. But I guess when you have a meltdown like that, that's those things can happen.
Yeah. Okay. So you had a meltdown. Like some people would just decide, you know what, I'm gonna enjoy my life. You know what I mean? But so what? So you had a meltdown. Do you want to talk more about that? Like,
Yeah, so I mostly just wasn't happy being in Ohio. You know, I was like, I haven't explored the world. I haven't done anything. I've
so
literally
you just
just
wanted to get the most out of life, and you didn't feel
right,
like you were getting that. Okay.
exactly. So I had always thought about it, you know, leaving and going somewhere and just doing something crazy. But um, I think
So it wasn't a spur of the moment, really. It was something that you had thought about for a long time.
it was like the trigger was there. It just wasn't quite
Yeah.
pulled yet, you know?
Kind of build up to it over
Right,
time.
right.
Okay. How long did it take you to plan this?
When it actually came down to it, a couple weeks because I was ready to go. So
Yeah.
I just had to wait for my passport. And then once my passport was here, I took off.
Okay, so it was a trigger. Yeah, you got the
Yeah.
money together, and you were like, all right, this is it. I'm doing it.
Right. But I had always known that I was going to do something like that
Yeah. So
on
that's
the
a cool
inside.
story. So when you got to Costa Rica, you found a crappy hotel. How did you get a job?
I got a job through my ex. Um, I met someone while I was there, and that was interesting. And my ex talked to knew some people, whatever, and knew a guy who owned a private school um, in downtown, and was like, "Hey, they're looking for people that speak English. Why don't you go and check it out?" So I went and met the guy, who's funny, who's probably an SLE now that I think about it. But I went and met him and had an interview, and he was like, "Great, you start Monday, and this is your pay, and you're in." But it was all illegal and under the table because I didn't have a work visa or anything. So
Oh, so they were kind of strict about those things.
they're not. I
No.
mean, no, because okay, a free English teacher from America who's going to teach the kids English. You know, they're I I knew from reading before I went to Costa Rica. I knew that I was going to be okay.
Oh, okay. So you weren't completely unprepared.
No, I did a little bit of research.
Okay. All right. So back to this question that we asked: how do you like to teach people? So you were dealing with kids. You were teaching English, and you had no experience teaching English, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So how was the process of learning to do that? What was that like?
Well, they offered me some like some really outdated English books. But um, what I would do is I'd go through the planning, and I would. It was weird because some of the kids really knew a lot of English, and some of them didn't. Like you could tell at home, some of them knew English as a second language, or they had an American parent or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to start like at the lowest for the kids that really didn't know English. So I started at like the beginning level of the books that they had given me, the teaching books,
Okay.
which is really what they wanted anyway. But yeah, I would just go through. I'd find lessons that I could do with the kids. It was kind of like the way my boss wanted me to do it. It was really structured, but I would always sneak in like my way of wanting to do things.
Yeah. So what was the difference? His way was, it was already structured. Here's the books. You teach this.
Yes.
And then your way was, well, I like this lesson better. I'm going to do this.
Kind of, but I also really wanted to bring like real world things into the class, like man, I can't even remember. Like I did slideshows of what it's actually like in America, and
Okay.
Just I wanted to expand more and have more
No
freedom.
slideshows of like what it's like in England?
No. Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I just wanted more freedom is what it was, what it boils down to.
Did you get in trouble?
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right, let me know. Well, if you want to go, oh, it's your tooth. If you want to go with me to eat at BD's Grill, Mongolian House, let me know. All right. Sorry.
No big deal. So, yeah, I don't know. All right, so just stretching. All right, so let's do the last question. What would this one is always so silly to me. I just hate answering this question, even though like I have it in my head. I just would never want to talk about it. Describe a utopia.
Oh shit.
What would a utopia be like for you?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind has kind of been like my obsession the past couple weeks, which is which would be like transhumanism, I guess, or when we have the technology to where robots are more intelligent than humans,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can start going there, like when we can evolve essentially, like technologically.
So
that's awesome.
You want like mechanical humans?
Exactly. I think that would be great.
That would be super awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna happen eventually. I mean, it's already
right.
like.
I agree, and that's something that I'm just totally stoked about. I hope that I live long enough to see it.
Yeah. Yes, that would be so cool. So, going deeper into this idea, what would you project that life would be like? Not necessarily in the actual future, but like how would you want it to be?
Wow. Man.
Yes, I'm asking you to make stuff up.
Yeah. This is hard for me. I guess I guess what I could see that would be great would be being able to literally do whatever you want, because we'll have the technology to simulate your wildest dreams, so I think that would keep people happy. That would be adventurous.
Yeah. So you see a world where people have access to more positive experiences.
Exactly.
As preferable. Okay. Is there anything about the legal system that you would want to be different?
I mean, when I envision the legal system in the future, it's going to be like totally flipped on its head, because I think ethics as we know it are probably going to change.
Like in what way?
I think a lot of things that are taboo now will not be taboo in the future. There's going to be a
Yeah.
lot more personal freedom, I think, freedom of expression and freedom for people really to do whatever they want so long as it's not hurting other people, which isn't always the case right now for a lot of places on the earth.
True.
Yeah. So I see that drastically changing.
Sounds like your attention here is on mostly quality of life and things that revolve around that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Personal happiness.
Personal happiness, yeah. I can see that. So as for the legal system, you see a lot of things being different.
Yeah. I think I don't think we're going to have a punitive system in the future, which I don't know how to personally feel about that.
You mean, sorry, I don't actually know the definition of punitive.
Punishment. So
okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think I don't see. I think we're going to get to a point where we can solve everyone's issues. I really think we're going to get to that point. So it's like, so there's not going to really be a need for a punishment system because because we have the answer. We know how to fix whatever's wrong with people.
The emphasis is on problem solving rather than punishment.
Exactly. Which right now, like, I don't have a real big issue with the punishment system. I think it's needed in some places. It's very utilitarian to do this. It keeps more people from being hurt, but we're going to evolve to a point where that's going to change, you know?
Yeah, I gotcha.
In my opinion. Maybe not.
We'll see.
Right?
What is the alternative that could happen?
Wait, what? What's the alternative that could happen? Yeah. There's so many things. It's hard for me to imagine, but I guess like we could just destroy ourselves. Obviously, that's in everyone's mind. We could. Really, robots could just take over if they become so smart that humans are just nothing anymore.
It seems silly to even say that, but like the likelihood is actually there. Like
right.
It's not even science fiction.
Right. It isn't anymore. Like at one point it was, but now it's like, well, now they're making like the tiniest little like chips that can do anything. It's like,
yeah,
we're getting to that point. So yeah, that could happen. We could stop. I mean, we could regress. We could hit a limit or a wall to where we just cannot pass like a certain technology, and then we're screwed.
Yeah.
And we just stay pretty much how we are until we kill ourselves.
Gotcha. All right, so I think we've done pretty good. I think we can actually I think we can end the broadcast. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Bye, guys.